It's that time again, folks. Let's build a gaming PC that'll play all of your favorite games for only $200. This time we're not only going to build a PC that can pump some FPS, but also look relatively aesthetic. I'll go over everything you're going to need right after this video sponsor.
When you install Windows on your Steam Deck or any other PC for that matter, you're going to need to activate it to unlock all the settings. Why spend a ton of money for a code when you can use the sponsor of today's video, SCDKey? You can purchase Windows keys at a large discount, and to get 25% off your order, use code JASON, that's JASON, to get 25% off your order. After purchasing, you'll get your code pretty much instantly and be able to unlock your computer's full potential. And remember that all Windows 10 Pro users can upgrade to Windows 11 for free at any time in the future using these keys. Just take your code, go to your Windows activation menu, pop it in, and boom. Windows is activated, and you should be on your way. Thanks to SCDKey.
Last time we were here, we built a kind of ugly PC using mostly used parts from eBay, but we were able to get some decent FPS on that machine. Today, I'm not buying anything from eBay. I'm not going hunting on Facebook Marketplace. We're just gonna build a PC for around $200 using semi-reputable online stores. So I finally wanted to utilize a website I've never used on this channel before, AliExpress. I've been pretty vocal about AliExpress recently, but I've actually used the website many times in the past to varying degrees of success. If you're smart, realistic about expectations, and have some time to spare, you can get some great deals on some interesting technology. PC hardware is semi-available on the site, mostly being off-brand graphics cards, older components, and then some refurbished motherboards, using older components being sold as new. But hey, we only have $200 here, so beggars can't be choosers. That's beginning to be the catchphrase of this channel, isn't it? I found a lot of great bundles on the site where you can get a combination motherboard, CPU, and RAM all for one low price. A lot of it is old server equipment, but is now so cheap that we can easily transition it into a budget gaming rig. There are a lot of options on the site for every budget, so feel free to dig around and find something that works for you. But ultimately, I decided on this bundle here that comes with a motherboard from Asus, which sounds suspiciously like Asus, but hey, who's judging? I guess me. This is an X79 chipset motherboard that runs LGA 2011 Xeon CPUs. They advertise the motherboard as brand new, but ain't no way someone is making X79 motherboards brand new in 2024, and it looks almost identical to a bunch of competitors who are making similar motherboards using the same chipset, but they've been modernized to accept an NVMe M2 SSD. It also comes with 4 DIMM slots for RAM and can handle DDR3 ECC sticks of RAM. Other than that, it's a pretty standard motherboard. Some SATA slots, VRM heatsinks, nothing fancy. The bundle also comes with 16 gigabytes of RAM, but it is only a single stick, unfortunately, so I won't be able to access dual channel memory. I might throw in another 8 gig stick I have lying around just to get dual channel, but realistically, it's not like we're going to be using 32 gigs of memory with this machine. But the RAM provided was clocked at 1600 megahertz, and it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Then we have the CPU, which is this chonker Xeon E5 2650 V2 CPU, another server processor that is a few years old, but is still strong enough by modern gaming standards to do everything we need. It actually has a massive 8 cores and 16 threads, which should really help the PC outside of gaming feel snappy and not crash every time you open a few too many Club Penguin Chrome tabs. It has a max turbo speed of 3.4 gigahertz, which is more than enough for any graphics card we will throw in it at this price point. I'm really eager to see how this CPU will perform because sometimes these Xeon CPUs can be hit or miss when it comes to gaming, but I am cautiously optimistic. This motherboard CPU RAM bundle only cost me $48. Now, grabbing a CPU cooler for this is a little difficult. The LGA 2011 chipset is not really popular these days, so most of the coolers on Amazon simply don't support it. Luckily, I found this one on AliExpress from a company called iWongu, which kind of sounds like I wrong you, so I hope that this thing cools effectively and isn't some sort of elaborate prank. It's a simple 2 heat pipe air cooler that comes with 2 smaller fans. Our CPU doesn't boost that high by modern standards, so I think this thing will work great for what we need in this scenario. But if you're trying to buy this for a $14,900K, I think you should rethink your life decisions. This thing only cost me $10, and it didn't come with thermal paste. And while we're still on AliExpress, I thought I would go ahead and try to buy a graphics card. I was actually in China last month, and I was able to buy a cheap graphics card locally and bring it back with me, but it doesn't seem fair to use that GPU in this machine since that isn't really accessible to most people. So I went ahead and found one that I would personally call the AliExpress Special, or even the Toasty Bro Special at this point. This is the RX 580 8GB 2048 SP from Milc. These cards are readily available, pretty good performance for the price, and they're just easy to throw into almost any budget build at this point. If you're okay with going used for your graphics card, there are a lot better options I would recommend for the price, and I'll throw those in the description. But in terms of buying new from an online retailer, this is pretty much the only card worth it at this price point. Obligatory, this isn't a full-fat RX 580, it's more like an RX 570, blah 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 blah. And yes, I know they stopped driver support for this card, but guys, it's a $200 PC, temper your expectations. It's still an awesome graphics card for 1080p gaming, and I think it fits in nicely. Now there are a lot of options on AliExpress for this kind of card, but this one ran me $62. Moving away from AliExpress, we will rely on Amazon for the rest of this build. I grabbed a 512GB SSD from Lexar, and I've used this brand SSD before, and they're actually pretty good for the price. Maybe not as reliable as a Samsung or SanDisk, but I wouldn't think twice about putting one in my personal PC. This motherboard technically does have an NVMe slot, so we could have gone with an M.2 SSD, but personally I don't trust the NVMe slot on this board, and at this price point I like the reliability of a SATA drive on this weird motherboard. Feel free to grab 1 or 2 terabytes if you want more space for your GTA erotic roleplay. Yes, I know what you guys are playing, and no, I won't be benchmarking it. Stop asking. There's not much you can do in this price range in terms of power supplies, so I just went with the cheapest one that Gamers Nexus says is fine, the Thermaltake 500 Watt Smart. This thing is almost always readily available on Amazon, and I've had no issues using it in the past for countless budget builds. Feel free to use something higher on the tier list if you have the budget. Now, if all of this seems a little overwhelming for you and you'd prefer to just have a list and a guide you can follow using only components purchased from Amazon, get subscribed for an upcoming video that goes over a budget PC build that you can easily follow along with. Now, I'm going to break the budget just a little bit to grab a case, as there aren't really any good PC cases out there for 30 bucks anymore. So I went with this NX500M from Antec. It's an all-black MATX case with a mesh front panel for good airflow, tempered glass side panel, and even 360mm radiator support. So a surprising amount of room for upgrades in the future. One of the funny features on it is that you have your standard front panel I/O like USB-A slots, headphone and mic, but then you have this random USB-C down here, which is obviously just an afterthought when making this case. Like they manufactured a ton of them and then halfway through realized, oops, forgot to put a USB-C, so they went back and just hole punched it in. Either way, I'm glad it's there, but this motherboard doesn't even support it, so it'll be there for any future upgrades. And we even have 2 slots for 3.5-inch hard drives, which realistically, someone making a PC at this price point might be throwing in here. It could be a cheap and easy way to really increase your game storage. This case is nothing fancy, but it's only 50 bucks on Amazon, and I think that is a good value for what you get here. Now we've reached the optional part of the build, where these things won't add any FPS, but it's just a nice way to make the PC a little more aesthetically pleasing. The cables on your power supply are quite ugly sometimes, so some cheap PSU cable extensions can go a long way to make your cheap computer look less cheap. I also grabbed 3 ARGB fans on Amazon for $11 on sale, and while these aren't the nicest Corsair or Noctua fans, they look good and they push air, which is all I'm asking for at this price point. And if you're the type of person who wears cargo shorts on the reg, you can put in a stupid Funko Pop or something. It's your PC after all. Let's take a look at our final product and some benchmarks, then back here for the final cost breakdown.
Whoa, wait, hold on. You didn't think it was going to be that easy, did you? How naive. When assembling the computer, I started noticing some issues. While the motherboard did have a port for front panel audio, it seemed like the manufacturer broke it off for some reason. It wasn't in the motherboard box at all, so it seemed intentional. There's also only a single system fan port on the board, and it's dead center. So unless you're just using a single exhaust fan in the back, you're going to need some sort of extender or splitter to run to the back of the case to plug in your remaining fans. But they better not be RGB, because there's no place to put RGB fans on this motherboard. I had to buy this RGB 3-pin to SATA connector that would allow me to convert some power to get the fan colors on. And when you order a motherboard via international shipping, they don't generally come with a CMOS battery, so you'll have to get one of those as well. Now, this is not all to discourage you from building a cheap PC, by the way. Just know that using older hardware has its limitations, and a lot of little things can come up that hold you back. Luckily, most of this was just about adding RGB, so if you just stick to normal fans with a splitter, you should be okay. Alright, now let's see the final product. Finally.
We did it, bros. We built a capable gaming PC that costs less than an Xbox Series S. And as always, we aren't pigeonholed into only playing games. This thing can live stream, video edit it, 3D model, VR, and allow you to be a Discord kitten, all from a single low-price machine that you built yourself. Unfortunately, there is not much in the way of upgradability at this price point. You're either required to use old hardware to get a great bargain, or use pre-built office PCs you can modify to play games. But either way, you are kind of stuck. If you have double the budget, so maybe like $400, I would really recommend building a PC that is on the AM4 chipset, meaning you'd be using a Ryzen CPU from AMD. This is a fantastic way to build a gaming PC that you could actually upgrade down the line, as a CPU from 2017 could be easily replaced with a CPU from 2023 without having to change your motherboard. This is realistically the best way to build a budget PC if you do intend to make small upgrades to it. But for most people, I think you should just build a cheap PC within your budget, even if it means it has zero upgradability. And in the meantime, if you realize you love the heck out of it and you want more performance, you can keep using it and save money to build something from the ground up that you're really proud of in the future. And then you can sell off your original PC, give it to a friend, or turn it into a home server. My name's Jason. Thanks for watching.